Hello, everyone. This is Padre John, or the Raven's Wing, depending on where you get your social media from. I've had a few people ask me to comment on this TikTok thing where the lady was calling into churches and getting not such good responses. Many of you know the reason I'm Padre is I'm a semi-retired ex-Episcopal priest. And I work mostly with marginalized people, homeless people, addicts, things like that. So I got to tell you that all the churches that I ever served, because I was there as the leader, we were concerned about people getting fed and clothed, visited, heard. And that often rubs people in the wrong way. Unfortunately, within the mainstream churches, there is this sense of insider versus outsider. And I think that's exactly what Jesus was talking about us avoiding. I've always said that if you put God in a box, God ceases to be God, because God can't be fit in a box, because God is unfathomably huge and infinite. So you put him in a box, even if that box be stone walls and a slate roof and stained glass windows, it's still a box. And I always ask the question is where was Jesus' church? And you can't tell me the temple, because most of the time he was there as an adult, he was upset, overturning tables. And why did he overturn tables? Because the priests were focusing more on money and the institution than about people's salvation and worshiping God. And that's sort of where we are today. People are more worried about the institution. More people are worried about money in the plate. I actually had one of my church leaders, after a service at a very poor Latino congregation in Baltimore, tossed the collection plate at me and said, "We didn't even get enough money to cover the fuel oil we burned today." And he was very upset. And back of my mind, I was thinking, here are people. Many of them are undocumented. They don't have any money. Not enough money for food, not enough money for a place to stay, not enough money for a vehicle, not enough money for clothes on their back, yet they are putting money in the plate. And that church leader said, go find some middle class people instead of these poor people. Bring them into the church to fill the plate. And I got in a lot of trouble because I said to that leader, you must be reading a different gospel than I'm reading. Well, you may be understanding why I'm a former Episcopal priest now. And that's because we've got to focus as institutions on the people. Jesus focused on the people. Jesus made it really clear. He said, if you want to engage and find me, you find it in the least of these, because if you haven't done it for the least of these, you haven't done it for me. And that's the passage in Matthew. I hear some people quoting some of the letters of Paul about, avoid doing stuff for these people. I'm sorry. If Paul said something and Jesus said something, I'm focusing on what Jesus said. And Jesus said, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, welcome the stranger, visit the sick, visit the imprisoned. And the most important thing is when we see and encounter these people that aren't us, but which is actually we need to start learning to not say I or me, but let's start talking about we and us. But the fact of the matter is, we and us are hungry. And we and us are in all sorts of need. If we can't get out of our little parochial barriers, the church will fail. And that is why the church is failing, because they are becoming irrelevant in the current times. The churches need to listen to what the people need. And this is nothing new, because we've always had prophets step forward when there needs to be change. Isaiah came and said, things aren't working anymore. Here's a new way to break open what it means to be in relationship with the divine. And he said there's another one coming, the Messiah. And the Messiah came and broke it all open and said, think of it differently. Think of it a new way. But then during the Reformation, we had people saying, no, a different way. We need to think about this differently because we need to catch up. And once again, we are now in an age where we need to think about things differently. We need to redefine, re-understand, and stop worrying about institutions. Jesus wanted us each to have a personal relationship with the divine. And this isn't just the evangelical altar call. This is surrendering to the divine, asking to turn your life over to the divine, and be ready and willing to give everything up to serve the divine in the world. And serving the divine in the world is serving the least among these. So that's how I feel about these social experiments on TikTok calling churches. Churches should be able to do better. Churches need to get out of the box because they've become the whitened sepulchres that Jesus warned us about. And the pastors of these places have become the false prophets he warned us about. So there you go. Peace, blessings, and in all things, courage, my friends.